Hi, I'm Abby Paige Stevens, and you're watching Stitchin' with Abby. I'm here to share with you all of the latest and greatest projects that we have coming for you here at Stitchin Heaven. The latest project is really exciting. It's a new laser cut quilt kit, and it's a double wedding ring quilt. And I hope that you'll hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and we'd also appreciate a thumbs up. And come on and let's get stitching. Hi, and thanks again for joining me. I am really excited to share this project with you. This is a new laser cut traditions project that we have here at Stitchin Heaven. This will be coming in a kit with every single piece laser cut. And in one of our previous videos for a different laser cut traditions kit, we asked y'all what kind of quilt you would like to see done, and we had several requests for a double wedding ring. And so here we have it for you. We've put a slightly modern twist on it where we have a little bit of a square edge on the sides, and then you get these cute 4 patches here where the blocks come together. And we have decided on a green and purple color theme, which is just really pretty and elegant. When you get your kit, as I said, everything is going to be pre-cut for you. We also have engineered in our pieces these little slits. Hopefully you can see those in each shape. And these slits are going to make construction of this so easy. A double wedding ring quilt is something that has usually been in the past something that has taken a lot of effort, a lot of time, a lot of cutting. And we've taken all of that work out of it for you so that we can get this quilt put together really quickly. To get started, you are going to start out by sewing together several arcs. When you open up your kit, you are going to have arc segment pieces for both green and purple arcs. And you can see here in this block that they are going to vary in value from light to dark. Sometimes when we look at these fabrics, some of them may be similar or close in value, or maybe the shade is just a little different. And so, like, to me, in my eye, these 3 here are difficult to determine which one is the lightest and which one is the darkest. And so here at Stitchin Heaven, we have designed these fun new tools. It is a red acrylic boot, and it is a value finder. So all you have to do is kind of hold this up to your eye, and I can look through here, and it will basically change everything from color to black and white. And so I can really see the variation in value, and I can see that I've got these in the correct order. To begin with, we're going to start piecing our arc segments together. It is important to note that within the quilt, we have arc segments that go from dark to light, but then we have the same arc segment going in a mirrored direction. And so when you start piecing these together, you're going to want to make sure that you're doing half in one direction and half in the other. I like to start by having everything all laid out the way that it needs to go, so I know that everything's in the right order and is going in the right direction. And then I'm going to start stacking these pieces on top of each other. And I'll take these to the sewing machine and sew along that right-hand side a 1/4 inch seam allowance. And as I sew these together, I'm just going to chain piece. They're going to stay connected. And I will trim them apart when I'm finished. I have those pieces sewn. I'm going to take them to the pressing mat, and I'm going to keep them in that same order. And as I open these, I'm going to make sure that they get pressed all in the same direction. As I'm pressing, I am not using any steam. With these wool mats, it really helps make a crisp seam without the steam. I find that steam sometimes will give me some distortion. I always use steam when I'm pressing my fabrics before I cut, but when I'm pressing my piecing, I use just a dry hot iron. All right, so we're ready to sew the next segment together. We'll get a 1/4 inch seam allowance there. I'll get that pressed open, and then I'll do the same thing there. And there we have our first arc sewn together. Our next step is to add our triangle to it. So it's going to end up looking like that. The trick to these is we are going to lay our triangle so it's shaped like an L in front of us here. And then we are going to put, so this is right side up, and then we're going to take our arc and place it right side down. So it kind of makes like a C or a U shape in the opposite direction. This feels really awkward, but we're going to be taking these opposing curves and making them work towards each other, and that's where these little slits come in handy. So we're going to start by lining up this top corner right here. We're going to take that to the machine, and I'm going to begin by just putting about 3 stitches in here just to lock it in place. Okay, once we've got that locked in place, we want to start working these opposing curves towards each other. And as we're going, we want to make sure that the slit here in our arc segments line up with the slits here in our triangle as we go. So some people like to cross their hands and have them move that way towards each other. My personal preference is to keep this piece in my left hand, this piece in my right hand, and then I'm also going to be I'm letting the triangle fabric go through just on its own. I'm just barely guiding it. I'm letting those feed dogs do its job. I'm giving this one some tension. I'm pulling on it just slightly to make sure that it lines up with those slits as I'm going. This is not speed sewing. You just want to take your time, be patient. But as long as you keep those slits lining up as you go, you're not going to need any pins, and it goes together really smoothly. All right, as I'm getting to the end here, this little corner here can be hard to hang on to and line up. And so here in the shop, we have these OESD little tool kits. And inside, there's a very nice pair of tweezers that have a really sharp point on them. So I'm going to use those to help me line up that corner at the end so it's nice and square. And then I'm going to pinch those and hold them as they go through the machine. Then that way it comes out nice and square. Okay, now this is gonna look a little funny when you pull this off the machine. It's all kind of bunchy, but I promise that when you go and you press this open, it will lay nice and flat. We're gonna take that to the iron and get it pressed. And there we have our first triangle sewn onto our arc. The next step is to add our melon. The first time I made a wedding ring quilt, I called these football. I don't know, it looks like a football to me, but traditionally it's a melon shape. So this is going to be pretty much the same process. So I am going to lay this so that it makes a capital L in front of me. And then I'm going to, and this is right side up. And then I'm going to place this melon so that corner lines up right there at the tip. And it's kind of facing off in the other direction. And this is right side down. And take that to the machine and work on the same process. So again, just a few stitches to get it started, and then we can start working these arcs towards each other. And again, I'm letting the bottom piece just let the feed dogs do their thing and pull that fabric through nice and evenly, but I'm gonna give a little tug on the top piece, on the melon. Okay, now as I'm getting to this tip, I'm going to want to use those tweezers again to really hold that in place. Now we've got an arc here, so this isn't necessarily going to be square, but we do need to get that tip all the way down. About like that. And there it goes. So this time when we take this to the pressing mat, we're going to let that seam go towards the melon, and you should have something that looks like that. So once you have your first green arc sewn together with the melon in place, you will create a purple arc, and you're only going to attach the triangle. Then we have our cornerstone pieces, our corner squares, and they will be added here, so they'll extend that arc out. So I'm going to place those right side together, and these are just a simple straight 1/4 inch seam here and here. When I press these open, I'm going to go ahead and let the seam allowance go towards the squares. So that is what this unit is going to look like once you've got your corner squares attached. Again, I want to point out that here in the quilt, I've got 4 arcs, but I've got 2 that are mirror images of each other. So you'll have 2 that face this direction, and then 2 that face this direction. When you're adding your corner squares, it is important to note that you're going to put a very lightest green square here against the dark purple, and then the darkest purple square against the lightest purple. So you're going to do that for 2 of your units. For the other 2 units on your mirrored arcs, you will have a lightest purple square that will go here against the darkest purple square. And then you will have one of the medium green squares that will go against this lightest purple arc segment. So you will end up with 2 of each of these units. So I want to show you how these go together. Again, we want to make sure that as you're putting these together, we have the dark, we're going from light to dark, are matching each other. And then here on the mirrored units, again, we have dark going to light. So we will repeat this process here of making an L shape in front of us with our triangle shape, and then beginning with that unit, square at this corner. And we'll take that to the machine and sew our curves together. I've got just a few stitches in here, and it's important to note that as these are going together, this first little bit is just a straight edge, but we do want to make sure that this seam and this seam line up so that we have a nice point when they join together. So once I've gotten to that point, now I'm starting to move my curves toward each other. Again, giving just a little tug on the top piece and letting the bottom piece flow through naturally. Periodically, I want to adjust this lower piece. You'll start getting a bunch, and so I'm just going to kind of move it around so things stay flat. Okay, now I'm to a point here where I want this seam and the edge of the square to match up. And once I get past that point, then I'm back to a straight seam. No more curve. And that is what a finished unit should look like. So I'm going to have this seam pressed towards the melon. So I'll get that done over here at the pressing mat. And at this point, we want to give this a good press all over to make sure that our block lays flat. Okay, that unit is complete, and we are going to repeat that process on this second portion. So I'm making my L shape, making sure that my lights are together at the end here, line up that corner, and we're gonna sew that curve. So there's my second unit. We are going to make 2 of each, and then we're ready to arrange a complete ring. This is the way that we want to arrange these units to create our full ring. So you'll note that I've got the lightest purple squares next to the lightest green, and then I've got the darkest squares, purple squares, next to the medium green. And so I've got all greens going on the inside, and I've got purples going on the outside. So now it's just as simple as putting together a 4-patch. So we'll start by sewing a 1/4 inch seam here and here. And there's our second set. Let's get those seams pressed. Here on these, because I do have so many layers and points coming together, these seams I'm going to press open. I typically prefer to press to one side or the other, but sometimes it just gets too bulky. And I'll do the same on the second half. All right, the final step is to just sew that center seam right along there. Take this back to the pressing mat, and again, I'm going to press that final seam open to help us reduce the fullness in the seam. I'm going to give this one final good press from the front, just to make sure our block lays nice and flat. And there we have our final wedding ring block. I really enjoy the mixture of background fabrics that you'll have in here. You'll notice all of our tan background fabrics are a little bit different, and it just adds a little bit of dimension and texture to the background of the quilts. And then of course our beautiful purple and green batiks in here. In order to complete this quilt, you are going to need to make 12 of these blocks. And so you'll have 4 rows of 3 across in each row. And then you will have this really pretty purple batik here on the border. So when you get your kit, you will also have the border fabrics in there along with the binding fabrics as well. So everything that you need to complete this quilt is available in the kit. We also will have the pattern for this quilt available separately. It does give instructions to cut if you do want to do that. And we have provided the template for you on the inside. The template also includes the little notches so that you can make those notches yourself to make the construction simpler. I hope that you've enjoyed watching how quick and easy it can be to make a double wedding ring quilt. I hope that you will hit the subscribe button and the notification bell and give us a thumbs up. We want you to keep up on all that's happening here at Stitchin Heaven. I'll see you next time. Bye.